What's going on? I guess I need a mic, do I? How about that? What's going on, everybody? Got the headphones on because I've been watching, or I just seeing what Cletus is doing with Mullet. So, drop a line, say hello. Somebody's already in here. That's crazy. He's got so much gear in that thing. What's up, Doc? My headphones are dropping out here. Get back over here. What's up, Mike? Well, thank you, Doc. I happen to like these. My mom gave them to me when Dad passed away. He used to take them on the plane all the time, and they're noise canceling, and they work great when I edit videos because it just blocks out a lot of the background stuff. Works really good. I think it'll go through these damn AAA batteries, though. I can tell you that. But I don't know. It doesn't do too bad. Mike is here. It wasn't much of a heads up, Mr. Purple, but it was a little bit. Yeah, Doc, it's supposed to, I think it's supposed to rain here tomorrow. I know my hair looks like a mess. I don't care. It's late at night. I had headphones on, so. And happy Easter to everybody out there, since we won't speak tomorrow, I'm sure. Try to get my butt to church in the morning and celebrate and do a lot of praying for this stupid world we're living in right now. So the big news out there, obviously, is Elon Musk attempted purchase of Twitter, or getting more stock than Twitter, and or more than controlling stock. And then I guess Vanguard got in there and they bought up a whole bunch of other stock. And apparently the board is trying to swallow the poison pill, which, if you guys don't know what the poison pill is, it basically, when it gets to 15% of any shareholder gets to 15%, the way the poison pill works is it immediately opens up stock purchases to anyone at a greatly reduced rate, which devalues the company as a whole. And so if they do that move, it would be detrimental to Twitter. It would just fall on its face. The problem with that is if Elon's got a bunch of stock invested and he paid the normal market price, he'll lose his ass. But I think it's pretty funny because, he threatened to straighten it out to where, quit all the silencing and stuff like that, and good for him. That's the way it should be. Yeah, the evil is getting exposed rather hard, Doc, for sure. And I'm just sitting back there and giggling. I says, "You know what comes around goes around. Ain't karma a bitch?" Um, it's good to see. And I guess there's been some other media outlets that have hinted to the 45th trying attempting to run again. And I guess they're really getting hairy in Georgia because he's campaigning there. Excuse me, good lord, he's campaigning there, and so of course Stacey Abrams is in there, and the other dude is pushing hard, advertising out there on YouTube and everything else. So yeah, it's rather humorous. You know what? You know, it's going to come around and bite them in the butt. You'll have to clarify me on that one, Doc. I don't remember the teachers thing. Well, except for them teaching CRT or race and gender and getting busted for it, which they should. That should never be a conversation with a kid that young. I mean, that should never be taught in our schools. That's something that needs to be taught at home. And the idea that they're saying that you're transgender transgender people, or well, what if you're actually a girl and you're putting these thoughts in these kids' heads when these kids just need to be kids. Boys need to go out and play in the dirt and get dirty and eat a little bit of dirt and hey, what's up, Steven? And you know, girls can play with Barbies. Hey, you know what? If guys want to, if the kids want to, if the boys want to play with Barbies, so be it. But it it's a phase. It's a growing up, and it's not that it's bad, but I mean, you need to explain. That's where the parents' role comes in, where they need to teach the kids, hey, look, this is how this works, but there's a right time for it. Uh, yeah, exactly. They're groomers for sure. Uh, and it's sad. I'm glad that I'm actually blessed that I don't have any kids, and they're going through the school system now because I guarantee I would have a come apart if I found out they were teaching us stuff. Um, you know, and especially the CRT and the stupid, what was that stupid math thing that they were trying to teach, that they find it Common Core. Uh, that's some of the stupidest crap I've ever seen. We Yeah, yeah, I don't know. Here's my thought on the whole thing. To me, I think that teaching should be done the old way. Um, Pens and papers, books, um, get the get the social media aspect and that kind of stuff out of classrooms. You know what would be funny is if they come up with a way that when the kids are in the school building and they're trying to learn, they find out that their phones don't work. That would be absolutely fantastic. I know it's cruel, but I think that's fantastic. We grew up without them, and we turned out just fine. Nah, just kidding. We turned out okay. So anyway, and that's what I'm getting at, Mike. A lot of the parents, I hate to say it, are slacking in that area, and it shows. Algebra in 5th grade. Holy cow! I didn't take algebra till 7th grade. Or wait a minute, it was later than that. See, the way they had our high school, the way we raised, yeah, I had, of course, we had kindergarten, and then 1st through 6th grade was elementary. Um, then they had junior high that was 7th through 9th grade, and then senior high that was 10th through 12th. And, I'm trying to think of when I took algebra. I don't think I took algebra till 10th grade. I think that's the way it was. I took algebra, algebra 2, and trig, and, geometry was in ninth grade, and, man, I wish I never woulda took trig. Holy crap, did I struggle with that. And now I haven't even used trig. I still use some geometry and stuff like that, and we used a lot of math when I was in drafting class, something that they had for a shop class, which they don't have anymore, I don't think. I missed that, doc, the protest. I need to start watching more of RSBN. They're good program. Let me put my glasses on so I can read what you guys are typing. Freaking blind old bat anymore. Doc, I wouldn't be surprised if they do send them to pen and paper schools. That's the way it should be. But a lot of parents can't afford private schools, and they can't, afford to do their kids that way, so they're stuck with the public school system, and I think that's what needs to happen is I think the public school system needs an overhaul. They need to go back to the way it was. It creates, and of course, all the teachers will start bitching and says, "Well, that's too much work for the kids when I can just tell them to do the assignment." Well, tough titty, said the kitty. That's how the teachers used to do it. Believe it or not, I'm still in contact with one of my fourth grade teacher. She is on Facebook, and it cracks me up. She and I got to talking the other day. She was, impressed at how well I've become because, of course, I was a struggling kid growing up too. But it's pretty neat that she reached out. It's pretty cool to talk to her. I think that's called something else, Mike, instead of trig, but that's pretty funny nonetheless. And yes, getting old really sucks. And I would agree to the end of the Fed Ed for sure. And it's getting worse. And they're talking about having another dose of the jab and stuff like that, and they're saying that's available for people 50 and older. Now, let me ask you a question. Why are they so concerned with age? Is the virus age specific now? Or to me, it kind of makes me wonder if they're trying to off, you know, 50-year-olds because they know that we'll protest against them and screw up their agenda. Where the young kids are so brainwashed with what's going on, they believe everything that's on social media and on the TV that and they won't see it any other way. And to me, I think that makes more sense. Yeah, right. Had to get the math just right. Yeah, so you don't intersect opposing angles. Well, Doc, they may want us all gone, but I'm going to tell you something. I whenever it's my time, the good Lord above will take me. It's just that's the way it is. That's who I stick my faith in, not any of these idiots that are in the government right now, which that whatever. My mom always says, "Well, there's nothing we can do about it." Says, "Yeah, we need to do something about it, but in the right way, for sure." Anywho, I tell you what, it's affecting so many people that I work with, and everything. Actual morale. It's really tough to go into the shop and do the work anymore, just because of that particular reason. It's just tough. The hours are getting tougher to get, and the parts are still tough to get. Oh yeah, and there's something else that bugs the crap out of me that seems like there's another control issue, and that's with um, being able to buy baby formula for these kids growing up. Eh, If that's not a sick, twisted kind of deal, I don't know what is. That's a good Doc. That's a good song, as a matter of fact. Yeah, that's. I didn't hear about that, Doc, but that's a bunch of crap for sure. Um, I, the thing about it is somebody put out there, there was, um, the military are forced to get jabbed, um, while they fight for our freedoms, but they don't have any freedoms when it comes to their own body, which is, um, it's terrible. It really is. It's a sad state of affairs for sure. When it comes a day when you got to watch what you say, like on a platform like this, because you're afraid of getting cut off, it's not right. I mean, that's what the Constitution's supposed to be for. Yeah, and that's what they're trying to do, Doc. I just, you know, I'm not afraid to admit it, but uh, I'm a grown ass man. But I'm going to tell you what, the amount of pain that this BS is causing, sometimes just want you to curl up in a ball and cry and just say, "Hey, look, this is wrong in every category that there is," and we can't get anybody to stand up to it enough, because there's too much power in the world, and you know we can't seem to take out the people that need it the worst. It's so bad, and they've done such a good job of scaring everybody to death that nothing's really being done. Oh, I totally with you. uh, Absolutely with you. And I don't know if y'all watch or listen to Glenn Beck on his podcast and stuff like that, but he had a football coach that was on there today. I didn't get to finish watching it, but he was fired from his job because after the game, he prayed out loud uh, after practices, and it was something that the players did with him, and so they fired him because of his religion. So, I mean, now it's getting to the point where they're attacking religions and trying to take that out. So there's no religion anymore. And, people. Um, oh, it makes me sick. It really does. And I'm gonna, Mike. On that note, Glenn was saying that for a long time I've been listening to him, and he was warning about this a long time ago, and they were calling them conspiracy theorists and that kind of stuff. The problem is they don't have anything to rank on anymore about conspiracy theorists because it's conspiracies that come true. So, you know, I I'm confused on what to do, to be honest with you, because I mean I'm other than just want to live my life just like everybody else does. Um, but man, are they making it tough on us? That's for sure. Um, yeah. Anyway, enough of the gloomy. Enough of the gloomy. Enough of the gloomy. So anyway, I'm still trying to pick up these stupid oak leaves at my house. Yeah, that's real exciting news. I didn't get very far today trying to get the big ones around from the house. Been looking at campers pretty hard and heavy because I'm trying to figure out what we're going to do because I need to replace my camper. One thing that the wife and I love to do is we love to go camping, and there's so many places that I want to go and I want to see. Um, but I'm at a point for time and money to get things done for sure. Um, I really need to get my old pickup fixed for sure. I need to get the cab replaced on it. I'm just not looking forward to doing that. Uh, the guy that I was getting the cab from, he's got it off the other truck now. So, I mean, it's a matter of getting it prepped and ready for install, and then finding a place to do that, dude. Because I mean, I don't have a lift here at the house, and it's real tough to do a cab. And I really wanted to get it down to the bare frame, and I want to send the frame down and get it cleaned and repowder coated, and and then put everything back together, um, just so it lasts. Because I need to replace the plates for the B&W. I've got a B&W flip ball in the back, and I'm gonna change my fifth wheel hitch, and I'm gonna get the companion hitch that B&W makes. Um, that way, when I take it out, I don't have the rails in there and so on and so forth. Plus, it's a heavier hitch because if we go with another fifth wheel, it's going to be heavier than the one I got by quite a bit, probably about another 5,000 pounds. Four, probably around 4,000 pounds. So I'm kind of limited on what I can go on my truck. It's rated to carry 22,000, I think it is. I had a we had a customer complain of a dually come in there. It's a 2020 Silverado with Duramax in it. crew cab, flatbed, and he's saying the transmission was shuddering or slipping, and there's no codes in it, and the truck drives all right. And anyway, he was telling me they were hauling like 42,500 pounds on the back of this freaking dually. And I'm like, holy crap, that's got to be way too much weight for that truck. Well, the door card says 33,000 GCW, uh, GCWR, which is gross combined weight rating. That's for your truck and trailer and everything included in it. That's what the truck was supposed to pull. But if you look it up in the owner's manual look at what it can tow, it says if it's equipped with a gooseneck hitch, uh, properly hitched, it'll tow 44,000 pounds. I'm like, holy crap, that's a lot on a freaking 1-ton truck. And I'm like, well, I mean, he's within limits. Read some of your comments here. Steven, yes, I'm still manually opening my gate. I haven't got around to I've got the new gate system too. It's sitting out in the garage. I just haven't had time to do anything with it. Doc, you are true. That's kind of like Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. Um, with the apple on the tree. Ooh, he was in a mobile home, Mike. I'm a guessing. Doc, I looked at the open range and there I'm not going to be able to afford anything new by any means. I'm going to have to buy used, and I've been looking at Forest River Cardinals. Pretty nice. I know that those trailers are upwards of 90 or 100,000 when they're new, and you can find them used in really good shape for decent money. I might or might not have pulled a rear end out of an S10 by pulling a 16 by 80 house trailer. Yeah, you think? He was on the crapper when the trailer blew over, Mike? Holy cow. But, yeah, I've been looking at, um, Cardinals. Also been looking at, Landmark, trailers. Um, something under 40K for sure. Um, it will get you a really nice trailer. My wife says, "Wow, we could probably find one for 8 or 9." I said, "No, you're gonna find the same crap that we've got now, somebody's junk." Um, if we're gonna have to spend a few bucks to get a decent, fifth wheel. Um, there is a one out there. I can't remember what the name of it is. It's a Domino, is what it is. Um, Never heard of it, but man, they've got some nice interiors on those things. Um, Full body paint, and that's kind of what I'm looking for. I'm looking for something with full body paint because it seems like when I see one like that, it seems to have held up better than just the regular fiberglass. And usually everything's painted and it doesn't have a whole lot of mold on it or anything like that. It cleans up good. So I've been looking for ones with full body paint. Um, Also been looking at uh, Jayco Seneca um, Super C's, um, from like 2005 to 2007, somewhere in there. There's a bunch of them out there. Um, the wife had stated she wanted to get something that she could drive. Um, Not crazy about the Ford stuff, is most of it has the V10 in it. Now, Ford's got good transmissions, but I'm not crazy about the V10. I'm not crazy about any of the overhead cam crap that they've got. Um, I know from working on them, they're a pain in the butt, um, especially when you have spark plugs blow out of the holes. And I just think it's a crappy design. I mean, that's just me. I'm old school. Um, Found a couple of them. They're on the Chevrolet van chassis, like 4,500 van chassis, but they want almost as much as a Super C that's on a Kodiak chassis with, a Duramax in it. And you can get one of those Kodiaks with an 8100 in it, and it still has Allison, and apparently they do real well. Of course, obviously, I'd love to have, something with like a freight shaker or something like that. I did find a Class A motorhome diesel pusher down south that's a really good price, and it's from what I understand, it's one of the um, better Class A's. It's called a Beaver Patriot Thunder. It was before Monaco bought them out, and they're really good. And they were voted as one of the fastest accelerating diesel pushers that was produced, and they were built on a really good chassis. They usually got a like a C12 cat in it. 40-foot, couple of slides, but it'll haul a bunch of weight. I think the hitch class on it's like 15,000 pounds or something like that. It'll hold a whole crap load of weight. You could pull a stacker with it, basically. It's just a single axle on the ones I've been looking at. It's not a tag axle. So, it's achievable, I guess, because the tires wouldn't be as bad. But I know the tires for them are probably 5 or 600 bucks a piece because of the big 22.5s. But um, there's a couple of nice ones, but I don't know that you can get a loan on something like that, something that old. I don't know what their stipulations are on it, but it's a super nice Class A, but it's a little bit bigger than I'd like to do if I was going to get a driver, because I still got to pull something behind it to drive when we're at the campground or something like that, because you can't take and, tear down a camp and go driving somewhere. You got to pull a driver. And that in lies another problem. Uh, I don't have anything that I can pull behind it except for my truck, because the Honda is all-wheel drive and so is the Escape, and you can't dolly tow those. You can't dolly tow them because the fact that it's all-wheel drive. So, I mean, it would have to be towed on a trailer. Um, and I wouldn't want an enclosed trailer. I just want something open and something light. So there lies another issue where I'd probably have to pick up a small car trailer, uh, with a rock guard on the front of it to pull behind the camper. I've heard that, Doc. I've heard the cats are really good for pushing. Well, I've heard the Detroit Series 60 isn't bad either, but I don't, other than the older Prevos having it, after they finally dropped I think they finally dropped the Oh, the 8V92, I think the last time they used that was probably 94, somewhere in there. Yeah, I've heard horror stories about that Cummins 5-liter V8 that they used in Nissans. I heard that was a real piece of crap. And of course, any of the older stuff, you want to try to get something that's pre-emissions bullshit. So you don't have any of that DEF or DEF or DPF filters. That's when they had a lot of problems, is when they started putting all that stuff on there. So you're limited up to about 2006. I think it's a little bit later on the C class and medium duties. So this class A that I'm looking at is a 2002 40 footer, and a couple of the Jaycos that I'm looking at are 2006. So should be good there. And if I can keep with a GM product, of course I can work on anything, but I mean, I'm more familiar with the Duramax. It's just in the medium duty that's a little bit tougher to work on them, especially in a motorhome chassis. I don't know how you would do that on that vehicle if you had to do like a major engine repair for sure. I mean, it does have a little doghouse to get to some of the back stuff, which is an advantage. I know that I've worked on those before, and the hood's really easy to get off on those, which helps a bunch too. And then once you get all the crap off the top, and then you get all sorts of room. But I couldn't imagine having to do head gaskets on one of those in the truck. Holy crap, that's a job. Hey, Mark, what's going on? Glad to see you join up. Welcome. You sure that was a 92, Mike? No, you didn't miss much. Just kind of squawking about the school system and some other things. You'll have to go back and watch it when we get done. But you didn't miss a whole lot. We're actually talking campers right now. So Mike, they did make the school bus was yes, they had. I hope there's some sarcasm in that statement, Doc. 6'2". What a turd. You couldn't blow them things up, but man, they would run forever, but they were gutless turds for sure. I had when I was in school, when I was 18, I bought this Cutlass Cruiser wagon off of this guy I knew. Uh, it had the 5.7 Olds diesel in it, and that thing had glow plugs out of it too, and that thing was a bitch to get started, but once it ran great, you know? For a car, it wasn't too bad, but, um yeah, but, the other ones I've been looking at is Gulfstream Enduras, um, which is Gulfstream's version. I'm still kinda leaning towards a Jayco because the way that they're put together. Um, the Jaycos had a one-piece fiberglass roof on it, which I'm so timid about roofs after having this one fail on my fifth wheel, I'm still irritated as hell about that. Um, and I've still pondered the thought. I ran across this um, YouTuber that had and I felt bad for him. He's got a brand new, oh, what's the name of that thing? Momentum. I think it is. Um, anyway, the roof was coming off of it, and it ain't even a year old. So anyway, he had this company that he found. He said it was like half of what it cost to put um, the membrane back on there. He actually kind of it's it's almost like a roll-on rubber roof, and the way it's put together is in layers. And I guess it's a lifetime warranty for the life of the camper. It doesn't matter who owns it. And I was like, that's a hell of a deal right there. And the guy said it was probably half of what it would cost to, because, depending on the length of the roof, a roof for one of those campers, if you don't have to replace any decking, will cost you around 12 grand. And, we both decided that we just can't justify putting that money in that old camper. We're still in the same boat. So, yeah, Doc, that's for sure. I mean, and we actually looked at some newer ones at one of the RV places we got up here close, and you walk inside of it, and the floor felt spongy. I'm like, that's creepy. I mean, it felt like the wood that was on the floor was so thin, and the materials that are inside were just cheap as cheap can be, and I'm losing all my people. Well, Mark, there's two evap solenoids. There's the vent solenoid that's backed by the tank. It's actually on the canister if I remember right. And then there's the purge solenoid up on the engine. And a lot of times the purge solenoid will leak and um, it won't completely shut off. I mean, it'll leak vacuum all the time. Um, but of course, check your gas cap. Make sure gas cap's in good shape and the seal's in good shape. Also seen those carbon canisters get full of crap or the charcoal start coming out of them. Um, so yeah, some things to look for sure. Um, if you can pull codes on that, Mark, find out which code you got. 446 is usually a vent solenoid, PO 446. Um, I think PO 442 is the purge solenoid. Um, but I'll tell you real quick. Buick Century. Buick Century. Century was a front wheel drive though in '85, wasn't it, Mike? Wouldn't that have been a front drive in that year? If it was a diesel in that probably would have been a 4.3 V6 diesel, which I heard that thing was a piece of junk too. I never actually worked on one. That was before my era, but oh, you already put a purge solenoid on it. Um, oh, you put a gas cap on it. Yeah, I would look into if you haven't done the purge solenoid, I would look into that. But I'd pull codes on it or get somebody with a scanner that can um, do bi-directional controls or where you can control it. See if that thing will seal up. It'll have like a purge and seal. Um, yeah, the evap systems on those are a pain in the butt sometimes if they're not working just right. Yeah, 446 is a vent solenoid. It could be that the vent solenoid's not getting power to it either. I mean, it does have a fuse. So, I mean, if the fuse is burnt, for that, I mean, it's possible that it's not getting power to it. You can test that pretty easy because the PCM controls the ground side of it. So your power wire will have power on it all the time with a key on. Um, so you can just get yourself a little test light and um, check to see if that dude's got power on it. There's just two wires, a red and a white, if I remember right. Um, yeah, just check to make sure you get power, and then the PCM will control the ground side. Um, the vent solenoid is just an on-off solenoid, but the purge solenoid is what they call a PWM solenoid, which is pulse width modulated. Um, what's up, Scott? Thanks for stopping in. And Doc, you are correct. I didn't mention that, but it does have a vent back there, a vent filter. Like I said, they moved all that. Usually, when you buy the vent solenoid, it'll come with the whole assembly with a vent already or a filter already in it. We're a gang now, huh? That's all right. We can be a gang if you want. I'm happy to have you all on here. Tickled to death. You know, my mom says, she apparently found my page. She goes, I uh I really enjoyed watching you on your channel, even though I didn't have a clue what you were talking about. Started laughing. Uh, but yeah, she even found the channel, was watching it. Oh goodness gracious! But I said, yeah, I haven't posted. Man, I haven't posted a video for y'all in quite some time. I've got a couple of them that are almost done edited, but I haven't had time. I guess to be honest with you, I've lost some motivation in it, but I I don't know. I guess I'm frustrated with but what's going on in the world. My kind of hands are tied. I want to do things and I want to get going on things, but my hands are tied because I'm afraid of what's going on. So I'm trying to keep my stash built up. I love a good thunderstorm, Doc. That's good sleeping weather. We don't get a lot of them down here. Usually when it rains, though, it rains in buckets. I mean, it just flat downpours. Um, excuse me. We haven't had a good wind blowing session with the rain either yet for quite a while. I hate cutting holes in sheet metal, Mike. Uh, especially on something that's nice and clean. You don't want to ruin the bed. But I know when I get the new bed for mine, I'm probably gonna have to do the same thing. Well, I know I will, because I'll have to cut a hole for the gooseneck. But yeah, I'm gonna. Either way I look at it, excuse me. Either way I look at it, I do need to replace the hitch on my fifth wheel hitch, just because that hitch has been in One, two. Well, it's been in 3 different trucks, and I've had it since we bought our first fifth wheel, and that would have been in 2003 or 4 or something like that. Oh, you gotta do a fuel pump? I wouldn't cut a hole in it, Mike. Just take and, get yourself a 2 by 6, um, put you some cardboard in between the back corner of the bed, in between the bed and the bumper, so you don't scratch it up. Take your bed bolts out, and then get yourself a 2 by 6 on a floor jack, and, jack that dude up. Make it like a tilt bed, like a dump truck. Um, that works pretty good for me. Uh, Doc, you can make your own kit if you wanted to do that, but I don't know why you'd want to do that. Um, the reason why they do it in the tank is for cooling purposes. Um, that's why they stick it inside that plastic housing. It's because the return's in there, so there's always fuel in that housing, so it doesn't starve it, and it helps cool the fuel pump. On the first designs, they always told you don't run your fuel pump below a quarter of a tank. And the reason why they did that is because it would expose the pump. Well, then they come up with these modules, and so the pump is inside that plastic coffee can looking affair. And so the fuel return actually goes back in that plastic housing, so it always keeps the fuel pump cool. And then that's why they put the sock on the bottom of it. But most of those vane style pumps, which is what that is, um, have to be in direct contact with fuel for them to work. So if you were to ever lose prime on your tank and you had a rail mounted fuel pump, it would lose the prime and it wouldn't be able to pull it up because that's not the way that pump is designed to work. Just to let you know. I mean, you can't use a piston style pump on these new fuel injected motors because it won't give you enough fuel pressure. But I know why you're saying that on the GM vans, because that tank is flipping huge. Um, I've done a couple of fuel pumps on those, and there ain't even 2 ways around it. They suck, especially if that tank is plumb full. Uh, so, of course, the best thing to do is if you know the thing's getting ready to go out, try to run as much gas out of it as you can. So, Mike, I'm assuming you've got a diesel truck that's got a dually that's got it must be a cab chassis then. Those are the only ones that have 2 fuel tanks. Because usually they ship them without a bed on them and without a spare tire because they put the tank back there. Um, yeah, you fight forever to get them to prime. Now on the Duramaxes, that's a whole different animal. Um, before I can't remember what year it was they started putting it on there from the factory, but the early ones that had the early ones just ran off the prime. It actually sucked it up from um, the high pressure pump that was in the valley, but that's why they had a primer bulb on the fuel filter housing. And so you could prime that fuel up there, and then the pump would take over from there. It would create enough vacuum to pull the fuel out of the tank. That's why when you get somebody that comes in complaining of it stuttering under, harder acceleration, if you've got they made a gauge that's got a test port on it. You put that gauge on that test port, and if that thing's sucking more than about probably around 3 to 4 inches of vacuum, if it's higher than that, say you got one that comes in and it's stuttering and everything, you put it on there and it's got 10 inches of vacuum in it, that means that fuel filter's plugged up. You need to replace it. Yeah, the old Ford dump trucks for sure, they had 2 tanks on it. Of course, the GM trucks had 2 fuel tanks on it too, but they also had fuel pumps inside the tanks. So you just switched it from side to side. Both my 87 GMCs I had dual tanks. Now, this is something that's funny. Both the trucks were uh, just a regular standard cab long bed pickup, 2-wheel drives. My 87 half ton had 2 20-gallon tanks on it. My 87 3/4 ton truck had 2 16-gallon tanks on it, and it was a big block truck. Now tell me that made a lot of sense. Makes a screeching noise under full throttle downshift. That isn't the freaking back tires breaking loose. That was a joke. Um, I wouldn't know what that would be. A screeching noise. Interesting. Yeah, I wouldn't know what that would be, Scott. I'd have to hear it. Man, it's been an hour already I've been on here. You guys are keeping me busy tonight. Oh, 78 Monte Carlo. I do believe that car come out with a turbo 250. Or 200 metric, one of the two. I can't remember what years they started putting that 200 metric in a car, but I know that Monte Carlo I had an El Camino. It had a 200C in it, which was a 200 metric with a lockup torque converter. Yep, 200 metric. Real easy to tell them on the pan. On the pan, they had the cutoff on the pan on the 200 was much more pronounced than a 350 turbo. The 250 C, easy way to tell that is it had an external band adjustment on it. Yeah, as I can remember, Mark, you've been having some issues with that, dude. That's too bad, too, because that's like the last year of the good body style in my book. You ought to be able to sell it pretty good because I know there's a lot of people that want those. Yeah. Doc, the reason why a lot of people are bringing those cars back is they can't afford the new ones, and some of them need cars. Plus, the 70s and 80s, there's not a whole lot of electronic BS on there, so they can't track you. Why do you think they put Wi-Fi and everything else in a lot of these new cars? Because the idea is that if they get their way with this BS plan, uh, TGR, uh, they want to control um, how much you drive by putting kill switches in the car. If you gone over your limit, you can't drive. 78 Pinto, huh? Man, I haven't seen one of them in a while. Oh, they weren't that bad, Doc. Try working on this new stuff we got. It's even worse. It's too early to go to bed. Yeah, but we're old farts, Mark. Or I'm getting there anyway. But no, I'll stick around for a while. Yeah, I don't think anybody can, Doc. I know I couldn't if we had something break down. I mean, we're just SOL. I got 4 vehicles. I got 5, including Charlie Brown, but I haven't had a chance to finish that either. I got it running, but I just haven't. I need to put wheel bearings in the front of it. I really need to sell that thing. The problem with a lot of these older cars is they getting parts for them is kind of tough, especially body panels if you got to do something like that. Right? I'll find some way around that for sure. But the newest vehicle we've got right now is the 16, that 16 Pilot. And, I inherited that from my dad. Um, it's a good vehicle. It doesn't have OnStar or none of the other stuff. It is capable of Wi-Fi stuff through the radio, but it it doesn't have onboard Wi-Fi, so you can't like connect. It doesn't have connection services. It doesn't have OnStar. It doesn't have any of that stuff. Oh, yeah, Doc. I really enjoy it for the most part. I mean, it's got some things that I don't like in it, but for the most part, the things drives really nice. We had to take an emergency run up north here. I think it's been a month already. Um, I put the first set of tires on it that I've had. I felt like there was one going bad, and so I bought some new tires for it, and had some pulsation in the front, so I put brakes and rotors on it, and the pads really weren't that bad. I should have just put rotors on it. The pad still had like 50% life left. It had 51,000 miles on it now. But things steady averages 24 miles a gallon where I drive. So, um, but both Bessie and Bertha are both 2002s. My wife's got that 91 Toyota pickup. And of course, I've got the Camaros. Um, Yeah, the only bad thing is if it gets really bad and we deal with a if somehow we end up going to war or something like that, and somebody drops an EMP bomb, um, computer wise, that'll take us out. And the only cars that are going to run are the ones that are non electronic. Um, so anything with electronic ignition on it, you'd be out of luck. So anything you'd have to have something 73 and older to be able to drive. You know, something with points ignition in it. Oh well, hell yeah, Mike. Indianapolis, Indy, huh? That's where Jerry's from. Is Indianapolis. He's a good dude. I haven't seen him on here yet tonight. Sounds like a PTO clutch. I guess it could be, Scott. It's been so long since I've been in one of those. I can't picture it in my head. Doc, yeah, BT4 Cummins. Yeah, one of the old Army diesels, 6.2 diesel. There you go. Non-computer, or the 6.5s that were non-computer. You know, he'd be all right with those. I could drive around on my John Deere tractor. I wouldn't get there very fast, but wouldn't be walking either. Um, yeah, the motorcycle would be out because it's got an ECM on it. So yeah, but the only thing to be able to drive would be the tractor. I mean, we'd be SOL. Right? I don't even know if you could find one of them old Chevy trucks that had the 6.2 in it. I just remember that kid that in school that had one of those when we were going to Iowa, and it was cold as piss out in Iowa that year that we were up there. Man, it got cold, and he had to ether that truck to get it started. It was just because it was just the way it was. And I can remember him being out there in the parking lot, and he ethered it, and it blew the freaking heads clean off the truck. Yeah, he lifted both the heads off of it. It was pretty amazing. Yeah, I'd imagine if something major happens, they won't have any of those available. They'll put them into service. But Garrett or Cletus McFarland just got rid of one that they had bought. I think they donated it to. I think it was a veterans cause, but kind of surprised he bought that one. He didn't end up not doing anything with it. But then, excuse me, there's the old bicycle. It would kind of suck to ride 24 miles to work and 24 miles home. That's a lot of riding. By God, I'd lose a lot of weight, that's for sure. Of course, you wouldn't have anything to work on because everything's electronic. So that'd kind of knock me out of work. I've always wanted an H2 Hummer. I never understood why they just put just the 6 liter in it. That was just gutless. I think it'd be cool to get one of those Duramaxes and get a Duramax and actually put it down in one of those Hummers, H2s. Oh, Mike, that would suck. That would suck for sure. 6 miles one way. Good Lord. Anyway. So, yeah, I mean, I'm going to get back on my little camper thing here. So, I'm trying to get to the point where I'm going to have to sell a bunch of stuff. Try to get up enough money to buy this camper. I'd love to be able to do it where I don't have much or anything I don't have to pay for, I'd like to have it paid for. I think I'm going to go ahead and pull the trigger and refinance my house too. Fuel tank on the Suburban. It depends on which tank you have, Mark. If you have a saddle tank, they're kind of a pain in the butt. But if you've got the rear tank underneath the floorboard, which is what I'm pretty sure you have, they're not bad at all. Do it pretty easy with a floor jack. The only thing that sucks is if it's full. Because that back tank, if I remember right, it's like, yeah, right, Mike? A bad thing is if that thing is full of fuel, because I think that back tank is like 40 gallon. It's a big boy. Personally, I think that all the manufacturers should put access doors in everything when you got to do a tank. Our Escape, old Bessie, she's got an access door. You pull up the back seat and you just flop it forward, and there's a little flap covering the hole. You pull the flap up. There's a couple of screws, I think, that hold the plate on. You pull the plate on, and boom, there's the fuel pump right there. Of course, the reason why they did that is it's all-wheel drive. You'd have to take the drive shaft out, and I think a bunch of other stuff to get the tank out, because it's what they call a saddle tank. But yeah, the worst thing is, excuse me, them old pickups. What would happen is you'd fill that thing up, and then the fuel pump would die almost all the time. Because something would happen, it'd cool it off too quick, and it'd say, "Nope, I'm done. Nope, no more." And that always made it fun. So that's when we started pulling the beds up if we can. Mine would be a pain in the ass to pull the bed up because of for one, the gooseneck and the fifth wheel plate. So when mine died at 100,000 miles, I had to. What's up, Chevy guy? We had to drop the tank on it, and luckily it was about half empty, so it wasn't too bad. Yeah, a lot of the imports from the factory got factory drain plugs in them, which makes it really super nice. As you can drain, as much as little as you wanted, put the plug back in, you're good to go. In fact, I think my wife's Toyota pickup's got a drain plug on it. So, anyway. So Mike or Mark is the only reason why you're pulling the thing is because maybe the sender's not working and the pump actually go out. So I'm gonna get a little off subject because I was watching some shorts here on. I don't remember if it was on Facebook. It was on YouTube, one of the two. But they had this one on there. It says showed this gal. She goes, "What?" Says, "If you got a backpack, you don't need a bra." And she's got the two straps for the backpack wrapped up underneath her tits, and I'm just laughing my ass off. And so of course they got somebody that tries it too. She goes, "Yeah, these dudes ain't going nowhere." She's all bouncing up and down. I'm just sitting there freaking busting up. Just absolutely laughed my ass off. I was like, "That's hilarious." Some of those are really funny. I like to watch the the dog and cat bloopers ones. Those are pretty funny. Yeah, Tiggle Bitties. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not too worried about that. Hell, they had those sheepy shirts. Uh, it's like a man girdle, basically. Phew, I'm getting tired. Getting tired. Tard or retarded. One of the two. And there's a whole lot of Senecas that pop up lately. Low mileage dudes too. A 2006 with 32,000 miles on it. That's like nothing. And it's got Alcoas on it too. Oh, anyway, there's a Christmas idea for Smitty. Thanks, Mike. Wow. Man bras can cause of Mayor Pete. No, Mark, I actually had the day off. Thank God. I can't stand going in on Saturdays. They're just a major waste of time. Um, But of course, the dealership requires it. But we've been begging and pleading for years to try to get them to drop Saturdays. Um, I don't think I got one ticket this last Saturday. That's not far from the truth, Doc. I mean, it all depends on how it's loaded and how it's been driven. But yeah, keep your tools in your shirt while working. Yeah. Well, on that kind of a note, my shirt ends up being a tool holder more than anything, putting sockets and stuff in the shirt pockets. Oh goodness gracious. Yeah, Doc, I would agree with that. I mean, that's a lot lighter of a vehicle to put something like that in. I think that would be cool. A4 Cavalier with 500,000 miles on it. Wow. If it was an Iron Duke, I'm surprised. Them some bitches leak so damn bad. That was probably I mean, it was an Iron Duke for sure. Yeah, Mark, like I said, I mean, I haven't got them to say no on the Saturdays yet, so we're still stuck doing it for now anyway. Oh, good God. Wow. Doc, I hadn't heard of that one, but I did hear something about. We got in this conversation that um, the Europeans or somewhere over in the Europeans area. Um, they said that the way they work over there is it, mandatory. They have to take 3 months time off of work per year. 3 months. That's like summer break for going to school when we were growing up. So yeah, I don't. That's the last thing we need. They were talking about the thing in Shanghai too, where all the people are starving to death because they can't get out and get food. And they showed a video the other day. It's just one right after they people jumping to their death because they can't handle it anymore. They can't handle the fact of being pent up, and they're screaming in the street, screaming out into the street from their apartments, saying that they're hungry and they need food, but they can't get out of their apartments because they're outbreak. That wouldn't work here. Oh, goodness gracious, great balls of fire. Wow, that one looks pretty nice. Cracks me up. Well, y'all, I think I'm gonna call it a night. I need to get up in the morning. Yeah, go to the grocery store first thing. I'm gonna try to get my butt to church tomorrow. So repent for my sins. So y'all have a wonderful evening. Remember to take care of yourself, take care of each other. God bless you and God bless America. And I really appreciate you all coming out and listening to me babble. I really do enjoy it, even though it's just us. Hey, it is what it is. Love you guys. We'll talk to you later.